Well, I came to see the ammonite pavement, but I assume it's actually underwater because it's high tide or coming up to high tide. I can't see anything, so it looks like a lot of it, the beach is underwater, so yeah. But yeah, I'm on Monmouth Beach, which is sort of to the east of Lyme Regis. I have to say they have spent a lot of time and money kind of obviously trying to change the image of Lyme Regis. Although it's quite funny, you go into Lyme Regis itself and you see, you know, a warning sign about elderly people, which is, you know, elderly people crossing the road, yes, everywhere. But there's a lot of art and a lot of kind of like, especially if you check out the, is it Longford Gardens? Longmoor Gardens and Lister Gardens. I was speaking to an artist who used to work with Ash, the band, has played at Glastonbury, Richard Kay, and he's got an exhibition here. And I'm sure he was like, who's the strange man talking to me? But yeah, I was talking to him about artistic crises and kind of working through them and stuff. Well, that was his suggestion, and it's a good suggestion. And I know this, you work through it, and you work through it all. But yeah, it doesn't really help you when you're in it, though. Yeah, I did several pieces today, which the drawing was okay, the viaduct, the painting was terrible, partly because, well, the people I mentioned in the last podcast, and guess what they did when I was sitting there away from it, because it drove me out of the campsite because they were just so irritating. So what happens? They come out, some of them come out and start giggling and taking pictures in front of the viaduct and being really loud and obnoxious there. And I'm just like, yeah. It goes from nuts of May level to sort of sightseers level. I'm somewhere in between at the moment with those people, because it's just like, not only be rude to people, but also just kind of follow the people who have escaped from you and then go and bother them by being irritating there as well. And they all drove off, as I said in the podcast, but not all of them, obviously. You might not be them, but I think it was them. It's just like, Argh. So yeah, that and the mist, because of course there's just constant mist. They kept coming and going and coming and going, so it was kind of difficult to paint when things, you know, your visibility is going from, oh, I can see the viaduct, oh no, I can't see I can just see the viaduct, oh, I can see the viaduct more now, you know. I did do a painting on the seafront of another one, but without the railing this time, because the last one I did at the undercliffy hangy thing, and this one was not too bad. It still doesn't do it justice. The sort of the gloaming on the headlands, the light hitting the chalk of the headlands, you know, all around the Golden Cap and all the places I've been. It's a good thing to depict. It's just difficult. But as I was saying to the Richard, well, I don't know him, but you know, the guy in the, you know, having an exhibition at the Malt House. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be more abstract in my, you know, artworks. So I'm trying to join my abstracts and my landscapes together. So yeah, the hammering is probably people trying to find ammonites and things, probably trying to be Mary Anning. They probably need a bit more hammers. Remember, she nearly got killed in a rock fall, so hey. And a dog was killed in a rock fall. I was actually at where her house stood today, which is where the museum is, the one I mentioned. I didn't realise that. But yes, so yeah, I'm trying to combine the two, and it's not really working for me. Oh, he has got a hammer. Fair enough. If I had a hammer, I'd try and hammer some fossils. That's not exactly how you find fossils, though. What is that? Probably is. That, my dear. Yes, it's probably an ammonite. Anyway, that'll be good. Tim finds world record fossil find while recording a podcast. No. I did my Rocky thing years ago. Because my dad's my dad was an amateur geologist. So I used to collect rocks, and I used to, that's the reason why there's pictures of me walking up the side of a 45-degree rock face before I could walk, climbing them, because the reason why we were there is because my dad was looking for rocks. As you do. So, yeah. I missed the ammonite pavement. I'll have to come back. But that's the question, is whether what tomorrow's weather will bring. I mean, it's sort of brightened up later, but it's still got that gloom. It's still got that sort of solar killing gloom, which I have to keep taking the batteries and charging them up on the mains. God. But yeah, and I was also speaking to the woman who runs the. I bought some cerulean blue because I was out of blue. We're not out of blue, we're out of cerulean. And I was speaking to her about sort of various things like art prices and the state of the and festivals and things. And yeah, that was a good conversation. So there's been a lot of art conversations. So I do get the feeling that Lyme Regis with the art in the parks and the art trails and the stuff about Mary Anning and the Mary Anning statue, the new one I saw. They're doing the kind of thing that I said that Weymouth should do. I said it obviously not on my podcast because there's new podcasts, but if you read the blog posts on my blog tjbaker.co.uk and look up the Jaunt series there, you will see me saying how there's such a missed opportunity in Weymouth for the arts. There's lots of empty venues. It feels like a place that could be a real arts hub. There could be real sort of something interesting there, because they do have the space for the studios, they do have the disused buildings, they do have things, maybe just don't have the scene. Whereas here the local council seems to be really harbouring that local artist thing, which is good. And that's what I'm saying, it's a bit like Folkestone here, or Margate. There is elements of that they are, they've got kind of a gallery, the Town Mill Malt House, they've got these spaces, and there are art galleries everywhere. Although I have to say, part of my crisis has been when I've actually looked at some of the artworks, not only what they're selling for, but that's not the originals, they're prints. So 80, 90, 70 is not it's not kind of like, oh my god, it'd be originals I'd be more bothered by. But it's more the fact that what they're doing, it's so not what I'm doing. And I know certain people would say to me, "Oh, Tim, you've got to do, you've got to do your own path, you've got to do your own thing." But when you're kind of doing this thing of, oh, well, I want to sell my work, I want to do these things, I want to, document my travels, I want, somehow get either donations or money or people interested in my work. And the podcast is part of that. And unfortunately, I went on for too long on it, which is not good, about ranty things to do with my artwork, which is not helpful. But it's all part of the thing. It's all part of the struggle. But when you look at people's works, really hyper-realistic, or kind of like the other way, very sort of childish, but not kind of interesting in a sort of like what I saw when I saw the things, the posters for that work by Richard okay, I was interested. Oh, that's abstraction. I've not seen that here. That's something different. There's something different going on here. So that's why I went to have a look. But you look at the other galleries, the small commercial ones, or the ones done by people like Richard Austin, who is the famous photographer around here. Whenever there's a big wave crashing picture, it's usually in the press. It's quite often him. And he sells a lot of calendars, and it's got his own shop here, and it's and good on him. He's a good photographer, but it's not me. And looking at the watercolours, they're all not me. I know that's because that's what sells, and that's what people think is, in quotes, art. But it doesn't help me when I'm trying to forge a path between what I find interesting, what I can do, and what I want to do, and what my future is, which is what these kind of jaunts are a bit metaphysical like that. It's kind of trying to find some balance here. But when you look at what the market is, either I'm so amazingly originally different and everyone will love my work, or I'm completely way off the path. I think I'm probably the latter. And a friend of mine said, well, the same friend that usually tells me not to pay attention to other things, is that my work is, I'm an artist's artist, and I think that's true. I think other artists can see the value in my work because they know what I'm trying to do, and they know the struggle of between representation and abstraction, and that that what I do is, especially with energy and time and kind of passion and kind of trying to do things wet on wet in the moment, it's not easy. I think it's kind of, it can go wrong and go very right quite a lot of time, and it's a weird balancing act. Ironically, the stuff that's very hyper-realistic, using on my photographs, and someone's there in the evenings going draw, drawing, dotting each little dot, and sort of doing that kind of very representational thing. In a way, that's easier because you just follow what's in front of you. You're not making those kind of creative, chaotic decisions. You're not having to deal with something going wrong in the moment. You're just going, okay, well this is this colour. We mix it exactly, match. Whereas I'm much more instinctive and much more kind of I don't know how to describe my work. It's very much coming from an instant reaction on plein air, so in the environment, with all that entails, whether it's it started to rain and it's got little dots in it, or it's I'm getting nearly blown off a cliff, not working from photographs, and very much a reaction between what's in front of me at that moment and my mood and how I'm feeling, and a whole load of things in there. But I do feel that it doesn't really sometimes come out in the work, or if it does, a lot of people are not really getting it. So it's kind of weird because people say, "Oh, see my work," and it's sometimes I'll show it. I mean, there was a girl at the Fankerin who's like, they were very impressed by my work, but I'm feeling embarrassed about it in this trip because there's a few pieces I would go, okay, I think this is good, or this could be better, but I think this is the best I can do in the situation because of the brown grass and stuff like that. But there are bits which are like, oh dear. And I felt that the first trip had a higher hit rate, actually. There hasn't been a sort of a Corfe Castle or a Moot Bay. There hasn't been, the lows of the Jaunt 2, where it just didn't work at all. And that was partly why I aborted it, because after 6 days I was cold, I was unhappy, and also the work just wasn't worth suffering for. Because it's worth it if the work's good, but I'm having to kind of rough it. That's fine. But what the problem is that the work then wasn't good. So we haven't got the lows of that. I mean, some of the stuff of that, I posted some of it. There's some I've never posted because it was so so bad. I was just like embarrassed having my sketchbook. So there's nothing like that. There's a few bits maybe, but nothing greatly. But there isn't anything like, oh wow. So there's the odd one or two that might maybe like, oh, okay, this is pretty good, or this is good. This I might reconsider this to be actually quite good. But there's no Moot Bay or Corfe Castles in this, where I felt I was like, yeah, this is really on form for me. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's a bit like, I mean, that's the part of the reason for the thinking of going home, because although yes, you've got to keep working at it, there is a point where you are just hitting your head against a brick wall, and that can be useful, but it also can be quite destructive, quite for obvious reasons. You don't want to give yourself brain damage, and the problem being that the weather doesn't help. I mean, I can work within certain, it doesn't have to all be sunny, 16 sort of happy, blue skies and green, but I struggle with this kind of weather. It's like, I can do the extremes. I can, when it's really moody and grey, yep, there I can do that. If it's sunny, yeah, I can do that. When it's just grey, I find it hard to be inspired by any of it. And also I find it really hard to paint, because it's all about gradations of things. It's all about, sort of very purpley greens and very sort of, very soft things. And that's just not that soft. I can do it, but soft and gentle is generally not my work. It's not what I do, although I can force myself to do it, but it's a struggle for me. Some people, they naturally come to it and they're all, all very ethereal watercolours, and it's all they can do mist scenes, no problem. I've tried to do mist scenes many times before, and they've come out shit. So, yeah, it's not easy depicting mist. Yes and no. I mean, you can just go, I'll use less paint. I use less. It's lighter, so less things. But no, it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's kind of all the colours change, and you get everything's sort of purpley, bluey, green, grey. Yeah. And it generally doesn't actually create amazing pictures to paint either, because when it's all grey and it doesn't really stand out as being, oh wow, that's really good. You haven't got the contrast. It's all just grey. And so yes, if this continues tomorrow, I'll probably head home, because it's just, there's a limit to what I can do. I can only hang around coffee shops and tea rooms and talking to people in art shops and not in art galleries so much. It is. Yeah, I'm here to work. I'm not here to hang around waiting for some change in the weather. But you know what will happen, of course, if I do go tomorrow? Friday, it'll be amazing, and we'll have the most bakingest, hottest bank holiday ever. But yeah, I mean, I have a reason to come back earlier now, so there's a friend of mine who's coming into town suddenly, so I meet up with him. So I might, there's a reason to come back at least after the bank holiday, unless I feel that it's working here and it's worth not seeing him over. But I think I will come back over the after the bank holiday or kind of towards the end of it. It's probably best to actually come back on, just after. But yeah, so yes. It's weird, because I think my first trip was such a random kind of made up thing, where it was just it was new things, although not completely new, but new enough that I was like, and you know, it was all exciting, and it's all like, oh wow. I feel like now, even though I'm in new areas and new things and stuff I've not done before, like I've never drawn a viaduct. I've done bridges, not viaducts. And this is very much a different kind of coast. You know, it's the start of the Jurassic Coast, but it's kind of very much a different kind of world. It feels very different. It's on the edge of Devon, so it's kind of like going into new territory. And that is exciting, but it's also, what worries me is I'm not really that excited. It's weird. It's kind of a weird kind of like, because my artwork is not really inspiring me. So what worries me is, you know, going to new amazing places and doing shit artwork of them. That's what bothers me. And it's not the place's fault. It's me. So anyway, I'm just going to go wander down there now that the person with the hammer has disappeared. Very worrying. Probably sounded like people murdering babies in the background because there's like sounds of hammering and children crying. Anyway, people doing their Mary Anning impression. I'll speak to you soon.